Hi everybody, good morning. If this is your first time here, I'm Steve and this is Jim.
Morning everybody.
And as you can see, it's still dark out. In fact, I'll turn the camera around. We're driving to the store, driving to Walmart. And so I thought I'd make a short video this morning about driving in cars and retirement. So I posted a poll last week on my channel on the community page. And it's so dark here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read. I wrote my notes here, and it's so dark I don't even know if I can read. Let me see if I can turn this light on. Hopefully that light's not too bright, but at least I can hopefully read. So the poll question that I left is, did you downsize to one car after you retired? One car or truck or vehicle, whatever it is you drive. If you had more than one car before you retired, did you downsize? Now, Jim and I, we both have our own cars, and after we retired, my car kind of died. I had a Ford Escape SUV that I really loved, and it had over 100,000 miles on it. And some of you may remember, my mom had a stroke. She lived in Arizona. We live here in Palm Springs, and I was driving back and forth to Arizona every week for almost a year and a half, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and so my Escape, just the air conditioner died, and this was during the summer. It was 110, 120 degrees, and I couldn't be without an AC. I took the car in. I forget what it was, but I think they were going to charge me $3,000-$4,000. Wasn't it something like that to fix the AC or put in a new AC?
Yeah, you ever told me.
Yeah, and I think there were a few other issues, and the whole thing was going to come to $5,000-$10,000 to fix it. I thought, well, that's crazy. So decided to get a new car. But my first thought was, I think we had talked about this before retiring, about if one of our cars died, we would just share a car, just downsize to one car. And I guess I agreed on that, but Jim never agreed to that. and so when my car pretty much died and I needed a new car, I suggested that I just use his. We're driving his Honda, is this a Civic? CRV. So it was similar to my Ford Escape in size and everything, just a Honda instead of a Ford. It's a SUV. So I thought, why not just share a car? I mean, why spend $20,000-$30,000, on the low end, to get a new car when we're both retired and we hardly drive anywhere ever? But Jim definitely did not want to do that, right?
You got it. It's just it's too much of a hassle. Granted, we don't always, but if one of the cars doesn't start when you need it and go out there type of thing, at least there is a backup there. Or if we ever happen to have errands we have to run on separate errands on the same day, you never would have been able to take your trip back east if we didn't have another car.
Yeah, I don't know if I was I guess I wasn't planning that trip because my mom was still alive. I wasn't even thinking about taking a road trip, but she died in 2021, and then a year later, once I was able to sell her house and her car and do all the things that needed to be done. She had an older car, so it wasn't a car that any of us, could use and keep. But once we did that, it took about a year. And so then by 2022, I was just so wiped out from taking care of her for a couple of years that I just wanted to get away. I just wanted to take a road trip. So I took my road trip back east. Was gone for 6 weeks in the new car. And so, yeah, if we had only one car at the time, you would have been stuck at home for 6 weeks with no car. So I guess in that way, it was probably a good thing we didn't just have one car. Or, well, actually probably what would have happened, you would have kept the car, and I would have just rented a car, and it would have been a lot cheaper. In fact, I think we probably did talk about that. I do remember that. It would have been cheaper just to rent a car for that 6 weeks trip than it would be to own a car or to buy a new car for $20,000, $30,000.
True, but like all the trips you've taken the current year to visit your brother and your relatives, and
yeah, well, I would have just rented a car. So I think that was my plan. I kind of forgot. It's so long ago that we talked about this, but yeah, I just figured if I needed to take any trips or wanted to take any trips, I'd just rent a car. And with just one car here at the house, we only go out now for doctor's appointments. Jim goes out to eat once a week where do you go, like Del Taco or somewhere?
Del Taco or Carl's.
Yeah, so Jim goes out once a week to eat, and we go, like today, we go to the grocery store once a week, but we always go together. And we both have doctor's appointments, and I go out to walk. Sometimes I'll drive to other areas rather than walking around our neighborhood. But we just don't drive much anymore at all. So there really is no reason for us to have two cars other than just convenience and the fact that we can afford two cars. So, I mean, you have to really think about that too. I mean, we are spending a fortune on these two cars that we never use.
Yeah, but I mean, in the end, I mean, granted, we had to buy the one for you several years back or whatever, but I mean, mine's 17 years old now. 16 years old.
Right, but
I just passed 100,000 miles.
Right, but we just figured if we needed a new car, we'd buy one new car. So, you know, when your car dies, if we didn't have a car, then we would just buy a new car then. But I guess the point is, it definitely would be a lot more economical, it would make a lot more sense for us just to have one car. We don't need two cars in retirement. So they're totally a luxury. And we're very lucky, we're very fortunate that we do have enough money that we can maintain two cars. But I was looking the other day, I was just kind of looking at all the expenses, and it's a little bit lighter, so I think maybe I can read my paper now. Well, no, it's still too dark. And this is August. This is the last week of August, or yeah, second to last week of August. But car insurance, my car insurance now is around $1,800 a year. Maintenance, now I put $1,200 a year. We were talking about that yesterday, and Jim thinks that's way too expensive, and I just sort of was averaging it out. But yeah, I have a new car, so it's not going to need $1,200. So even if it's just $500 a year probably wouldn't even be that really. So all right, let's just take that out altogether, or put $200 instead of $1,200. And license is $300. It's a newer car, so the license is still pretty expensive. Gas is about $600 a year. Battery, here in the desert, you need a new battery about 3 years. Yeah, about every 3 years or so.
Well, I've started now doing is, it seems lately, mine has always died after 3 years. So it's like now I'm going to be more proactive and just replace it every 3 years.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that too. I think I got my new battery about, was it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? I think I did a video on it.
I actually put it on my calendar.
Oh, you got it on your calendar? Yeah, that's a good idea. So, yeah, so here in the desert, they only last, 2-3 years. Depends on how much you drive and how much you're in the sun and stuff. But just the heat, for whatever reason, the heat is not good for batteries. And so mine comes to a total of about $3,000 a year just to have my car that I drive maybe once a week. And so that comes to, I'm spending like over $300 a month. Well, that was based on when I thought it was $4,000, but $200-300 a month and $10 a day, or I guess if it's a little bit lower, maybe it's $7 a day or something. What?
I was just going to say, and then we go down to 75 cents an hour.
No, but I mean, I think it's interesting to think that you're spending like $10 a day to maintain your car that you never use, that you drive once a week. So basically that's $70 a week to drive your car once to the store. So this trip to the store is costing us $70 to get to the store.
You got to look at anything that's like insurance. I mean, our homeowner's insurance, we pay, whatever that is, and we never use it.
But you have, you have to have,
and health insurance. I mean,
but you're not getting the point. We don't have to have two cars. We have to have health insurance. We have to have home insurance. We don't have to have two cars. That's my point. So for us, it's totally a luxury, like our pool. We don't need to have our pool, and our pool costs us a lot. Yeah. So we're here, but we can talk for a few minutes before the doors open. The second the doors open, Jim wants to rush in there and get to shopping.
Get out.
Yeah. So we are very fortunate, very lucky that we have money I don't want to say money to blow, but we have money for luxury items like two cars, and you're spending at least $3,000 to $4,000 a year on your car, right? I mean, everything is about the same probably. Your insurance.
No, my insurance is a lot less.
Why is your insurance less? Because my car's new?
Well, mine's 17 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah, mine's only 3, 4 years old.
Yeah, I mean, the value to replace the cost to replace your car for the insurance company is a lot higher than mine.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So yours is a little bit less. So yours is maybe 2,000 a year instead of 3,000 a year. But then you're probably paying more for maintenance than I would because your car's older. And like, didn't you take it in the other day and it was supposed to be like $1,200 for
No, well,
something?
the last one, I mean, it was probably maybe close to that, but that was the 100,000 mile service where they had to drop the engine and do a whole bunch of stuff.
Right, but still. So, all right.
Usually
So,
but see, those kind of things like tires, other major thing, doing the air conditioning, maybe a few $100s, but that's only usually every few years. I mean, most of the time it's just the annual oil change and tire rotation.
right,
Maybe
but
80
but
bucks or
each
something.
year as your car gets old, each year there's something major, and so you're probably still around 3,000. So we're probably paying around $6,000 a year to have two cars when we really only need one. Now, if we had to rent a car every time we wanted to take a trip or vacation, I mean that would add up too. Those are very expensive. It's very expensive to rent a car. I think I looked into it when we were going to take the trip back east, and that was going to be $3, $4, $5,000 for that trip. And so that would have been a lot more expensive than just taking my own car. So I did save a lot by doing that. So, I guess it's just where you want to spend your money. So I guess my question for all of you is, are you like us? Are you willing to keep an extra car or truck or motorcycle or whatever just as a luxury item, just so you have it? Or maybe just because it's just so hard to get rid of? We've both had our cars since we got our licenses when we were teenagers. And so I think a lot of it is psychological. It's like to get rid of freedom. Cars represent freedom.
True, but I mean, I think the thing is, it's different. Like if you lived in a place that had maybe decent public transportation, where if you only had one, you had something else. 'Cause I think that's the biggest thing is just there's no other alternative means.
Well, that's true. Yeah, in Southern California, until just the last decade or so, there's been no public transportation in Los Angeles or any of the cities. And even now, there's not much. I mean, it's growing. LA is actually pretty good. They have the metro system. But there's nothing out here in the desert. There are buses, and I think the buses are pretty good. But can you imagine sitting at a bus stop at 120 degrees in the summer trying to catch a bus?
Yeah, and when depending upon where you live, if you're not like near the major thoroughfares where maybe there's, a bus kind of constantly coming by every so often. I mean, if you do live a little bit off the beaten path with it, I mean, the bus schedules, a bus may come once every 3 hours or something.
Yeah.
Other.
So I was in San Francisco recently, and the transportation there is fantastic. You definitely don't need a car if you're living in the city. In fact, that would be a detriment to have a car trying to find a place to park or park your car, and I imagine the insurance and everything must be outrageous there. So in certain places like that, in large cities, it's nice. You wouldn't want a car. But where we live, out in the desert, out in the middle of nowhere, I mean, compared to San Francisco or a large city, we definitely need at least one car, and two car is preferable. So when I get back home, I'll share with you the results of the poll, and I think you might find it kind of interesting. I did. And if you didn't take the poll, I'm very curious to know if you downsized once you retired to just one vehicle or maybe no vehicles. So it'll be interesting to compare notes as always. So, all right, I see Jim's getting antsy. The door's just open, so we're going to go in, and I'll continue this when I get home. Here are the results of that poll. 262 of you voted, and 45% of you said yes, and 55% of you said no to whether or not you downsized to just one car or vehicle after you retired. So that's almost 50-50. To be honest, I would have thought that more of you would have downsized to just one car, but apparently more of you are like me and Jim, and you decided not to downsize or you haven't downsized yet. And quite a few of you did leave comments explaining why you did or didn't downsize. So thank you to all of you who participated in the poll and who took the time to leave comments. They're very enlightening. And once again, thank you all for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you all next time.